Now, let's sit down and talk a little spread lines coming to your table tonight. And we've been hot in college basketball and having a lot of fun with it. Joe told you, hey, look at this. Tough to go in the Mackey Arena, number one team in the country. Why is the spread so short? Don't worry about it. Just handle your business, Michigan, and they did. Gardner-Webb, on the other hand, team total under. That one came in as well. So we are having some fun and being profitable in college basketball. But let's look at some of these spread lines tonight that you need to know. Let's head down, Joe, to the SEC, a 7 o'clock start from Bama. Arkansas comes to town. Coach Cal and the boys. This line currently sits at 3.5 to 4 to 4.5, depending on where you're shopping at right now live, and a total. I love this, Joe. 183.5. Talk to me on this spread line.
Yeah, good luck trying to sweat out an under in this one here, Donnie. But the ironic thing is that these two teams are mirrors of one another, and I mean mirrors of one another. All of the statistics are pretty much the same. I mean, look at who Alabama has beaten over the last couple of months. They beat Illinois. They beat St. John's. They beat Auburn, right? Texas Tech, Vanderbilt, Louisville, Tennessee, all beaten by Arkansas. They have lost games they should not have lost, and they won games a lot of people didn't think they were going to win here. Combined, Donnie, they own 11 quad one wins, these two teams here. So what's going to happen tonight? No defense, 1,000,000 points. The line opened up last night at 3.5. We're seeing 4s right now, 4.5s for the home team there in Alabama. And call me crazy, Donnie. This might be one of the most fun games that you are going to see all week long here. Do not blink, Donnie, because you are going to miss about 20 points in a 2-minute span. These two teams are going to go at it here tonight. No defense, nothing but scoring.
Both teams expected to approach 90 points for their team totals. A lot of fun in the SEC tonight. Let's flip it over to the ACC. Joe, Clemson going to invade Wake Forest tonight. This game's going to start at 7 o'clock. This line opened up overnight around those 4.5 ranges, but now we're seeing in the marketplace, Joe, 3.5 across the board as a favorite still towards the Clemson Tigers, a total of 138.5. You take a look at 18 teams in ACC play. The worst rebounding team on defense, it's Wake Forest. The 17th effective field goal percentage on defense, it's Wake Forest here. Clemson might have some extra opportunities, Joe, but what is your spread line for this game for Clemson and Wake?
Well, I mean, listen, Wake Forest NCAA tournament hopes are pretty much done here. But Clemson, on the other hand, Clemson had a little bit of a West Coast hangover when they returned back, Donnie, because they've lost their last couple of games here. Not an easy place to play, and Wake Forest has actually shown up and given teams much better than them some fits on their own home court. So Clemson has to get back in the W column here. This is a tricky game for them, but it's one, Donnie, that if they make a couple of shots here, they should not have a problem limiting Wake Forest. It's a cheap price simply because of how Clemson, well, they haven't looked good since they've come back from the West Coast. And let's take advantage of that here tonight and jump all over them over Wake.
Got a pretty good statistic coming up here in this next SEC rivalry here. Vanderbilt taking on Missouri. On the road, Vanderbilt is a favorite, Joe, of -4.5 and a total of 153.5. That matchup I'm talking about, how about in conference play? Vanderbilt's offense, the best free throw shooting team in conference play, Joe. It's 79% as a team. Going up against the worst free throw shooting team in the SEC at 66.9%. Could that be the difference? We'll find out because, by the way, both of these teams do get to the free throw line. Vanderbilt and Missouri, Joe, what's your spread line tonight?
I don't get Missouri. They should be, I don't know. It feels like every time I turn around, there's a disappointing loss for Dennis Gates and Missouri here. But they shoot 53% or better. From 2. They shoot 33% or better from 3 in every game. They're 36-5. You would think, Donnie, that this is a team that when they shoot well, they win games. Now, Vandy has had a couple of clunkers along the way, and Vandy's not going to play a ton of defense here. So does Missouri have an opportunity to have one of those good shooting games here? The market seems to think so here, Donnie, a little bit. I thought this number might be a little bit higher. It might still get there, but right now, Missouri at home has a really good shot at getting a big win, one that they're going to need here if they're going to head to March Madness.
Injuries could play a big deal in this next game here in Arizona, looking to sort of bounce back and continue their dominant season, shake off a couple losses here. BYU comes to town as an 11.5-point underdog. You might look at that like, that's kind of crazy the way it sits there. 165.5 is a total, but Richie Saunders, that superstar player for BYU, down for the season with an ACL tear. That's going to hurt them tonight. And also Arizona, the number one most efficient defense in conference play. Number one at defending the three-point line, number one defending inside the arc. Points might be tough to come by for BYU tonight, Joe, but that's still a double-digit spread. What's your spread line here for this one?
Yeah, this is kind of crazy, right? 12-point line, and we were just talking about BYU and this game against Arizona as, oh boy, look out. But Arizona, came off a loss, and now all of a sudden, what a big loss for BYU. I mean, Richie Saunders has basically, when he blew out his ACL there, most all of the statistical databases, Donnie, have dropped them almost 25 spots across the board. That's huge. And if that's really true, then how is this not closer to 17 or 18 points here? Yeah. So we might be overestimating how bad BYU is going to be without him. Don't forget, you lose the star player, you're going to get a big effort here from BYU and DeBansta. So wouldn't shock me if they hang around this game and stay within this number.
Yeah, sometimes you like those, the first true game without one of your star players, so you can sort of rise to the occasion. The other team doesn't really know how you're going to factor in or what players you're going to use, and then you sort of get that lull after. It's almost effectively, hey, we just fired our head coach. We're a bad team. Whoa, we just won here, because sometimes you get that little bump. We'll see if they get that tonight, or at least enough of a bump, Joe, to cover here. Illinois going to take on USC on the road here, almost a double-digit favorite, Joe, across the board. 9.5s at most outlets here in a total of 151.5. Illinois brings the Big Ten's most efficient offense to town to take on SC. Is that enough to get a 10-point road cover, Joe? What's your spread line tonight?
Yeah, and USC is a weird one too, Donnie, because they are ranked as the 137th best offense at home. What? What is that all about? So either there is going to be huge positive regression for USC in this game tonight, or Illinois is going to win by 30. It's going to be one or the other. USC is not that bad. They should be better at home. I'm expecting a fight from Musselman and USC here tonight.
Here's the tough part, too. Illinois doesn't foul. USC loves to get to the free throw line. Let's see which one wins that battle tonight. College basketball here heating up, and again, getting closer and closer to Selection Sunday. And away we go into March Madness, and also the month of March here, roughly coming up in under 2 weeks. Say it ain't so. Time moves fast here. But how about this? Time needs to move a little bit faster on the healing of Tar Heels Caleb Wilson. I was going to say Tar Heels Hubert Davis here. Hubert Davis gave an injury update there on Caleb Williams after his fractured left hand last week against Miami. Oof, man. Get back sooner than later, Joe.
Yeah, well, at least they are expecting him back, which is what that sounded like here, Donnie. And they're going to need him after NC State boat raced them 82-58 last night. Just not a good spot for North Carolina. They got crushed, and NC State was just chomping at the bit, given the fact that they have their big man, of course, is a former North Carolina player who was made a big deal of that North Carolina didn't play him. They don't know what they're doing. Everybody had a big night for NC State. So North Carolina needs their leader back sooner rather than later.
That was one of those games, Joe, you looked at and said, hold on now, ranked team going on the road against an unranked team. How many points is NC State favored by? And look at that final score, 82-58, a complete whitewashing there. I'll tell you where else was a whitewashing last night. It seems like any UCLA, or let's just say USC team, that has to come east and go to the state of Michigan, they get thumped. And that's exactly what happened last night. Let's hear from Mick Cronin.
What was your thoughts in the student section chanting Booker's name?
I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section.
I just meant overall the way that you
I would like to give you a kudos for the worst question I've ever been asked.
Did you like the,
you should take it.
The preparation of the...
Do you really think I care about the other team's
No, I don't
think
you care about the other
Are you
team.
raising your voice at me?
No, I'm just
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Come on, dude.
No reason.
Come on. Yes, you are. Everybody's standing here listening to you. Everybody. This is on camera. They can hear you. I answered the question. I could give a rat's ass about the other team's student section. I coach UCLA. I don't care about Michigan State students. I mean, who cares?
The preparation.
The passive-aggressive fantasticness right there of Mick Cronin was sensational because the reporter asked him a question, and he wasn't raising his voice. But to turn it back on the reporter and be like, are you raising your voice to me? And then have the reporter backtrack, that is a masterclass after getting thumped in a basketball game. I love it, man. More Mick Cronin for me, man. Come on.
I'm telling the guy he is a walking meme, Connie. He is the best for college basketball. Not to mention the player, his own player that he threw out of the game yesterday, ejected, was Stephen Jamerson, who, by the way, happened to be a former Michigan State student. But because he was called for that flagrant foul late because he didn't like being, destroyed by 30 points, and Cronin throws him out. Absolutely priceless, this guy. The UCLA, you need to give him a raise. You need to give him a raise.
By the way, Izzo on the other side after the game, he had a funny post-game press conference as well, talking about I'd never seen a coach upgrade a flagrant 1 to a flagrant 2 by himself and eject his own player. You had it all last night in that absolute thumping here. But let's get back to the ACC, Joe, because NC State now improved to 10-4 in the ACC after an 82-58 win over North Carolina. NC State one short of 20 wins. North Carolina already at 20 wins, but it said needing to get back one of their better players here from a broken left hand. But NC State was impressive last night, and the odds makers probably thought they would have been, and they were.
Well, I mean, we saw that it was 6, Donnie, yesterday in the morning when we talked about it in the spread lines. I think it closed 7.5. And there was also some questions as far as whether the other big man for North Carolina was actually going to play, because don't forget, it wasn't just Caleb Wilson. Vassar was also questionable in that game there, and if I'm not mistaken, the minute he was announced as not playing for North Carolina, boy, that line started to shoot up here. But if you want to talk about entertaining coaches, you watch Will Wade on the sideline of a North Carolina State game. That is one of the most entertaining coaches in all of college basketball. The guy flies off the handle like nobody else. It's fantastic to watch, Donnie.
It is. I'll tell you what else is fantastic to watch. Michigan at Purdue yesterday. If you are Michigan, you want to come into town as the number 1 team, and you want to take the crowd out of it. How about 48 points scored in the first half to take a 16-point lead in a double-digit victory? They got a little bit tense in the second half, but Michigan was the better team through and through. Dropped 91 on Purdue. Number 1 team moves on in the Big Ten at 15-1.
The length, size, and athleticism of Michigan, Donnie, it was heads and tails over Purdue. I can't tell you the amount of second, third, and fourth chance points off of missed shots that Michigan got by getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound after offensive rebound, and that is why they were up by more than 20 at one point in the first half. And that was it. I mean, Purdue was never going to come back in that game, especially given the size and the rebounding of Michigan. They are a force right now.
I'll tell you who is a force right now at 26-0 and 13-0 in the MAC. We ended the show yesterday saying, I wonder if the Miami Red Hawks are going to pick up that victory. We'll tell you about that more tomorrow. We're telling about it now. 86-77 victory. I like the team total for Miami of Ohio, and I'm going to assume, Joe, 86 was enough to get it done last night with a 41-point first half and a 45-point second half, and also dropped 10 triples on the road in that victory. One of those last hurdles, as you said, Joe, to a perfect season.
Yeah, on the road. I mean, they have 5 games remaining, Donnie, at this point, and of those 5, 3 of them are on the road. But this, by far, was the stiffest test, I think, that they have remaining here. So the sky's looking up. I mean, this was a 2-point win at home against this team a couple of weeks ago. They go on the road in their building, and they beat the snot out of them. So, yeah, they seem the pressure doesn't seem to be getting to the Red Hawks here.
How about the pressure of tonight's action in the SEC? A big card here, which deals with, again, we talked about this on the opening spread lines here, Joe. Arkansas and Alabama, 3.5 to 4.5, depending on where you're shopping at right now. But a 183.5 total in this basketball game is sensational. Both of these teams get up and down the court. Effective field goal percentage is fantastic. Scoring from the three-point line, scoring from inside the arc. You're going to get everything you need, but also sometimes, Joe, people look at that 183, and it's almost like you say to yourself, that's a stone-cold over line, because most people are like, 183? I'm just going to take the under and see where it sits. And then you go, whoa, 105, 100 final. Good luck to that.
Listen, you go to Ken Palm, you go to Evan Meyer, you go to any, ratings, company here, and both of these teams are nearly identical offensively and defensively here. And when you consider the fact that both of these teams combined have scored 100 or more points 11 times this year, Donnie, and they've allowed 90 or more points 13 times combined here to the competition. There is no defense being played in this game here tonight. I can assure you of that.
Take a look at BYU and Arizona, Joe. We talked about this earlier as well. An 11.5-point spread here for Arizona as the home favorite. A total of 165.5. Arizona, back-to-back losses here. Last time they played BYU when BYU was healthy, that was a 3-point victory for Arizona. But now we're looking at the double digits because Saunders is down. But also understand this. Teams do adapt and adjust here. And you do have a lottery pick or maybe the number one overall pick in the NBA draft on your team. It's not a dead throwaway game, but Arizona looks to bounce back in a big way tonight, Joe. But it is a double-digit spread.
It is. And listen, you're going to learn a lot on whether or not Richie Saunders truly was worthy of the 2025 spot drop in the rankings here across the board. I'm shocked it's still at 12, Donnie, because if that drop is warranted, then I don't know how they're not a 17, 18, 19-point favorite. If BYU loses this game by more than 20, Donnie, I think it's panic mode there in Provo, that's for sure.
I'll tell you, it's panic mode here in Marquette. What happened to Marquette basketball? He's one of those Big East teams that you can have a backbone out there and in the top 25 year to year, not playing good this year. They're going to take on St. John's, but St. John's is the road team in this game tonight, Joe, but close to a double-digit favorite for the Johnnies as well, and a 156.5 total tonight.
Yeah, try not to get into a fight, St. John's. That's all I'm going to say is try to keep everyone in the game, and they should be absolutely fine. Listen, Marquette and Shaka Smart, they are not good, Donnie. They are just not good.
Yeah, what happened to Shaka Smart? Can we get Shaka back at VCU and restart VCU's team as well? Let's go back to the futures, as we like to say on this program. Also, the way we get down to business, Joe, giving people college basketball winners like we did yesterday on a 2-0 sweep. Here's bye. Take us away, Joe. Where do we go?
Well, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the one thing that is broke is people who continue to bet UConn as double-digit favorites when all they do is play with their food, Donnie. Connecticut has been awful this year as a double-digit favorite. And guess what they are tonight against Creighton? Yeah, 16.5 points they are laying. Now, listen, are they better than Creighton? Of course they are. They've been better than any team that they have played as a double-digit favorite. The problem is they're 5-13 against the number when they are a double-digit favorite this year. They continue to play with fire week in and week out, Donnie. So sooner or later, they're going to get burnt. Does that mean they lose this game? I don't know. Does it mean that they're going to win it by more than 16.5? No, they don't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Take the points.
We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Missouri Valley Conference for my next appearance here, Joe. Gardner-Webb yesterday, Missouri Valley today. Northern Iowa's going to take on Indiana State. Do you know, Joe, Indiana State's offense absolutely stinks. 10th in the conference play out of 11 at turning the basketball over. They don't rebound well, and they don't get to the free throw line. And when they do get to the free throw line, they're dead last in conference play at 64%. But NIU on defense, number one in defensive rebounding, number one at not fouling, and number one at defending the three-point line. We're not getting any points today from Indiana State. Take their team total. Ooh, look at how low it is. Don't you worry. 65.5. Cash and tickets, 2-0 again tonight. Those are the expectations for Joe Ranieri and Donnie Rightside. See you bright and early once again tomorrow morning.